it is a better budget being handed down in terms of the assumptions, the parameters. The sky hasn't fallen in without JobKeeper, has it? That's fair to say.
I'd have to say people should be careful about making assumptions based on a national jobless rate, that happens evenly across the country. In my part of Western Sydney, we traditionally will experience unemployment lagging, and this was my big concern last year when we were told we were in a recession. Some people will do better quickly and others will find it hard to get work. Why I was so upset as a Western Sydney MP that we didn't see JobKeeper extended to casuals, a lot of which live in my part of the world, work in hospitality or elsewhere where they're relying on casual employment because underemployment's still a big issue, didn't get support, had to scrape to make ends meet, and will still struggle to find work. When the government goes, we don't need JobKeeper anymore, there are a lot of people that need support longer term.
So you think that there's still possibly a hard landing from the end of JobKeeper, but it hasn't happened yet?
And there will be still people that are feeling it, and there'll still be people trying to patch together 4 or 5 different jobs to make ends meet. And it's not just providing the support in the sense of just extend JobKeeper and everything will be sweet. You need to invest in education, make people job ready, have infrastructure
I'll get to that in a moment,
to support business growth.
In terms of the hard landing though, I mean, at what point do you go, okay, it hasn't been a huge impact? I mean, if we get to 2 or 3 months, there's still no spike in unemployment, does Labor concede there wasn't a really hard landing?
I'll put it to you this way. If Josh Frydenberg is popping champagne corks, it shows you how out of touch he is. There are parts of the country where unemployment will be an issue longer term.
Well, yeah, there are always parts, but it just doesn't seem like it's as bad as not only Labor, but economists were warning. It seems like the economy's in a better position and the jobless rate is in a better position than was predicted.
I would not want people to be dismissive and think that, oh, well, it's always going to be tough. And therefore, there are people living these lives. There are people going through trying to work out how they'll pay the grocery bills and the roof over their head and make sure the kids have got uniforms and all that type of stuff. That will still happen now and they should not be overlooked and their voices should not be ignored, 1. 2, the coalition is good at making the announcements. Whether or not they deliver is another thing as well, and whether they'll follow through. They made all these grand announcements that 450,000 people had benefited from their JobMaker credit. Didn't happen. We still need to see actual performance.
JobMaker seems to be by the wayside, but what we're hearing today, and we'll see the full detail, is a strong encouragement and focus from the government. Young people either in jobs or given access and linked up with training. Maybe it'll be called Job Trainer, I don't know. But is that a good approach?
But hang on, but they can't go, oh, well, JobMaker goes by the way, like the credit goes by the wayside. They got a lot of coverage last year saying they would help up to nearly 500,000 and particularly young people would get the benefit of what they were doing last year. It fails.
It fails, but at the same time...
It fails, and then they go, well, no, we've got a new one. We're going to rebrand and repackage and this time it'll work out for sure.
But if one scheme's not being used, isn't that a good idea to have a new focus?
No, isn't it a good idea to actually have a program that works?
Sure, but if one program's not working, they don't continue it just because it was a big announcement, do they?
But again, let's rewind a few years earlier. What happened to the PATH scheme? Remember the intern program that they came out with and they said this would be the best job-making scheme since, sliced bread was invented, right? And why aren't they talking about it anymore? It gets rolled into a new scheme and now we've got another scheme.
But what are you saying should happen to JobMaker? Are you saying keep it in place and recalibrate it?
I want them to come up with a program that works, that they're fair income, and then they're not just committed to the marketing of the program, but the delivery of the program.
So
it actually means
so you'll look at the training aspect tonight. Do you welcome that? I mean, that approach to say if they're not getting a job, retrain and let's connect them with retraining services.
I am more than happy if they are fair income, if they can deliver, then absolutely we'll support that.
Okay.
But it can't be just marketing and advertising talk. It needs to be concrete results.
To be fair to them, I was the one that decided it might be called Job Trainer, but maybe I shouldn't go into marketing either. Digital economy, $1 billion spend here.
Talents.
A digital economy, $1 billion spend here. It seems like is it back in focus now? We had the big announcement from Malcolm Turnbull. It sort of fell by the wayside. Is this capturing attention again now?
Always late, always little, always overhyped. I mean, I think this is the problem with the way that this mob go on innovation. Innovation should be hardwired into our thinking, particularly here in Canberra, that this is an important way to get the economy growing, jobs, seeing jobs emerge, but also to help improve the way communities operate. The problem with this government is every time they need some sort of positive headline that makes them look like they're forward thinking and considering future, they just roll this out and never deliver.
Not just a headline though.
But
what have you made of the announcement for what we've heard so far?
Let's look in the AI space. For years we've been saying other countries are getting ahead on this. Our regional neighbour to the north, Singapore, invested nearly 150 million in AI investment programs for that nation back in, I think, 17, 18. 150. We said we'd spend 7.5 million years on an equivalent type of program. They've now said, after saying they don't need to spend big, they'll spend big. They've now said...
It's a good thing, isn't it?
They've now said that they'll adopt Labor's idea of a national centre on AI. And yeah, it is a good thing, Tom.
Okay.
But can I just make this point? Wouldn't it be better to get it done at the time? How much lost opportunity have we seen as a result of them dragging the chain yet again?
Just finally on infrastructure, you've expressed disappointment around Greater Western Sydney. So does this mean Labor would be spending more money in this particular area?
So what it appears now is that the government's going to borrow 10 billion and based on their performance, they'll probably underspend 7 billion. You know, that's what we've seen in terms of their budgets. They are notorious in underspending infrastructure. And the thing that gets me as a New South Wales MP is we have a coalition government federally and a coalition government in New South Wales, and these two cannot work together to sort out congestion problems that are driving people nuts in northwestern Sydney. And
a lot of it seems to be state-based in Western Sydney.
Yeah, well,
reports of basically the houses are built before other things, and the houses are going gangbusters, and some of the infrastructure comes later.
So I think there's a combination of federal and state here because the feds say we'll give the money to the states for shovel-ready projects. The states say we don't have them or we won't recognise this as a project worthy. We've got people stuck in traffic jams or crowded trains in Western Sydney. And on top of that, to come to your point, you know, they've got all these city deals that are basically based on the assumption you'll build more homes. And frankly, I think we're getting to a point in Western Sydney where we have to say, stop building more homes until the infrastructure is in place.
Stop building homes.
Stop building homes. And by the way...
Are there any that are approved that should go ahead?
So in my part of Western Sydney, 200,000 people expected to move into northwest Sydney. And you know what? I'm for the first time in a unity ticket with state New South Wales Lib MPs who are saying the same thing, that if the government cannot, like David Elliott has said in New South Wales, if the government can't get its act together on infrastructure, stop building the homes and then making life miserable for people.
Are there approved areas that you're saying, let's not go ahead with this?
Well, like I said, northwest Sydney, 200,000 people. Not my part of Western Sydney, from Marsden Park, Schofields, up through to Riverstone, you're seeing all these homes being built without the infrastructure that's there to be able to cater for them. Something has got to give.
All right. Stop building them. Interesting message. Ed Husic, thank you.